Hello. My name is Miss Samantha, and today we're going to be doing a science video. So I'm outside, I'm in my backyard. I decided that it gets a little messy, but you could do it in your kitchen. I would suggest putting down some paper towels or something, or having them close by. But other than that, you're good to go wherever you can. Today we're going to be making some different kinds of Play-Doh. We're going to call them dirt dough this week, as we're talking about worms and snails and slugs and all that. I have two different recipes for you. We have one which is more like a cloud dough, and then our second one that is going to be using coffee grounds. So feel free to use whichever one you want, if you have both, to do whatever works for you and your house. So for the first one, which is going to be more like our cloud dough, you need 3 ingredients. You need oil, any kind of flour, and some cocoa powder. I also have a glove so that my hands don't get too messy. I have a spoon to mix around with, and then I have 2 measuring spoons. I'm going to be making a really small batch just because I don't need a lot at home, but you can always adjust it. You can always make more. So I'll also include a written recipe so that you can make as much as you need. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use flour. I'm only going to use probably a half a cup to start with, and then as I need more, I'll add more. If you're going to make a big batch at home, I suggest doing more like a cup to 2 cups, depending on how much you want. So this is even more like a cup I'm going to use this time. So I'm going to add it into my bowl. Then I'm going to use my smaller measuring spoon. This time we're going to use, this is 1/4 of a cup. You can use however much works for you until you get the color you want, until you get the consistency that you want. I usually start with a little less than 1/4, and I'm going to add it to my bowl. Next, I'm going to use a little bit of oil. I always say start with a little bit and then add more, because you can't really take away. You're gonna have to keep adding flour, and then you end up with a ton of dough. So I'm gonna start with probably about 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. And then we get the fun part to start mixing. So you're gonna go nice and slow and get everything combined, and then see what it looks like. So I'm just stirring it around. While you're doing this, I want you guys to talk about what color is dirt. What do you find in the dirt, and then what could you make with it? So I have it pretty much mixed together. It's not my favorite consistency, so I'm gonna add a little bit more oil to get it to mix a little bit better. So I added about 2 more tablespoons, and then we're gonna mix. You can see that now it's starting to look more like mud. And then we're gonna mix. I suggest starting off with a spoon just because it gets really sticky, really messy. I love making Play-Doh. It's one of my favorite things. I think it's really fun and something that's really easy. And for a lot of our friends who have little brothers and sisters at home, it makes it easier so that they can eat it just in case something happens. It's not gonna taste yummy at all, but it's a lot safer. So I'm gonna put my glove on to help me a little bit. And then I'm going to kind of get it off my spoon and start mixing it around. So I'm gonna get it all off my spoon. I'm gonna leave it there, and then I'll show you guys what I'm doing. So look, I kind of have this texture now, and you're gonna move it around. So you can make it 2 ways. It could be a lot softer and more crumbly, and then you can kind of put it in a table or spread it around, and then you can scoop it, or you can add a little bit more. I'm gonna add a little bit more flour because it's really chocolatey. And it can be more like a Play-Doh, so a little bit thicker, which allows you to kind of mold it and play with it and make different things out of it. You can make bugs, you can make worms, you could make rocks. So I'm gonna show you guys what it's starting to kind of look like. So look, I can kind of squeeze it and it stays together. You can kind of feel, I'll touch it with my other hand too so we can see if it's getting sticky or not. So I can squeeze it and it makes rocks, but you can also spread it apart and crumble it kind of like that. I will say it's gonna get a little sticky in your hands if your hands are super hot. So try not to hold it in your hands too long because then you'll be a chocolatey mess, but it's really fun. So I'm gonna also show you what mine looked like when I made my first batch, when I tried it out. So look, it kind of gets really solid, and then I can combine it, and then it makes little rocks. So that's our first recipe, and it's gonna be more like a cloud dirt dough. Only 3 ingredients, super easy and super fun to play with. The next one I'm gonna show you has a little bit more things inside, and so I'll be right back to show you what that one looks like. Okay, for our second one, we're gonna do a coffee dough. So for this one, our main ingredients are gonna be flour again, oil. We're going to be using regular coffee. This is just leftover from the morning, some coffee grounds, a little bit of cornstarch, and just some water to help mix it all together. So the first thing you're gonna do, I'm gonna pour all of my coffee in. Oh, and a little bit of salt. I'm gonna pour some regular water in. And then I'm actually gonna add in my coffee grounds. I don't know if you guys can hear it. It's starting to rain where I am. So I'm even doing it in the rain just to get outside for a little bit. So now I have like my coffee mixture. And now I'm going to add in a little bit of oil. So once again, I always say start out with a little bit. We're gonna do just about 2 tablespoons. 1, 2. Not too much. It makes the Play-Doh really oily and it doesn't help keep it together. We're gonna add in about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch just to help with the texture. 1, 2. As you can see, I'm not super measuring. I'm just kind of throwing it in. Do you guys like sitting out in the rain too? And now I'm gonna add in some flour. So for this one, once again, it's however much you wanna make. You can start with a cup, you can start with 2 cups. You can start, I always say start with a little and then keep going because you can add more flour to help make it not so sticky. So I'm gonna start with just about a cup and then start mixing it together. So it's gonna kind of become like dough, like bread dough, and then you're gonna keep going. So I always, like I said, for our first dough, mix together with a spoon first, and then I start using my hands. So I'm gonna add in some more flour because I used a lot more water than I did for the first time. This one I love just because of the texture. I love how the coffee grounds feel in it. I love how the coffee smells. And we're gonna mix it around, mix it around, mix it around. Once again, feel free to pause the video if you wanna do it alongside me. If you wanna do it together, you can always pause it so that we can do it at the same time. So as I'm mixing it together, it's starting to get more solid. It's starting to come together. This is a really great part for your kids to do, for my friends who love to mix things around. So then it's gonna start coming together like bread dough, and it's gonna start to get more solid. Add more flour as you need it. So then it's gonna start to look like this. And you can knead it, you can make it into different things, you can combine it. If it's still sticky, continue to add more flour. Just do a little bit at a time so that you don't end up with too much flour, and then take it out of your bowl and knead it on the table or wherever you can on your counter, and that'll also help. And the more you play with it, the less sticky it will come. So also just give it time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you play with it, and I can't wait to see all the lovely things you're gonna make with it. Love everybody. Bye.